All right, go ahead.
Okay, Virginia Henderson, modern day mother of nursing.
Hold on, sorry.
For her biography, we have information about Virginia when she was born November 30th, 1897. She was born in Missouri. She was the fifth of eight children, and she was named by her mother after her beloved home state of Virginia. Virginia's education began when she was inspired to enter the nursing profession during World War I. She entered nursing school, the Army School of Nursing. Then in 1921, she received her diploma from Army School of Nursing at Walter Reed Hospital. She next entered the Teachers College at Columbia University in 1929, where she earned her BSN in 1932 and then her MSN in 1934. Virginia's contributions. After completing nursing school, she began her career at Henry Street Visiting Nurse Service for 2 years. In 1923, she returned to Virginia, where she became the first teacher in the School of Nursing at Norfolk Presbyterian Hospital. And then, after completing her master's degree, she joined the faculty at Columbia University, where she stayed until 1948. On March 19th, 1996, Virginia Henderson passed away. And she continued to visit schools, spreading her knowledge well into her 90s. She was known as the modern day mother of nursing and a well known educator and author. In her honor, Sigma Theta Tau International Nursing Library was named after her.
Okay, philosophical underpinnings. Henderson developed her nursing theory during a time when major social and healthcare changes were happening in the early to mid 20th century. Global events such as World War I and II increased the demand for trained nurses and highlighted the importance of patient rehabilitation and recovery, which influenced her emphasis on patient independence. Increased educational opportunities for women were expanding, and the roles for nurses in the hospital and public health were social changes that occurred during this time. One important influence was the needs theory, particularly the work of psychologist Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of human needs. Maslow emphasized that people must meet basic physiological and psychological needs in order to achieve well being. Henderson used this to create her theory of 14 basic human needs that nurses help patients meet when they cannot do so independently. Henderson defined nursing as assisting individuals in performing activities that contribute to health or recovery that they would perform independently if they had the necessary strength, knowledge, or will. By integrating concepts from psychology, biology, and social science, Henderson created a framework that highlights the nurse's role in promoting patient independence and holistic care. Henderson's work was also influenced by biological and medical sciences, as her theory includes fundamental physical needs such as breathing, eating, eliminating waste, maintaining body temperature, and maintaining hygiene. By integrating concepts from psychology, biology, and social science, she created a framework that highlights the nurse's role in promoting patient independence and holistic care.
Her need theory. The unique function of the nurse is to assist the individual, sick or well, in the performance of those activities contributing to health or its recovery, or to a peaceful death, that he would perform unaided if he had the necessary strength, will, or knowledge, and to do this in such a way as to help him gain independence as rapidly as possible. So she did not discuss that this would only occur with people when they are sick, but it is also the role of the nurse to help in all aspects of care. It is a holistic approach to care, emphasizing spiritual, physiological, social, and psychological needs of each individual. The nurse's role was substitutive, supplementary, and complementary. The patient. This theory emphasizes the importance as the patient as an individual. Mind and body are connected. The theory considers the biological, psychological, spiritual, and sociological aspects of the individual, and a nurse is responsible for taking care of all the needs of the individual patient. The environment. Each patient has an individual environment in which they learn to live. The goal of this theory is to have each patient return to this environment with the same or better function than they had before they left. Nursing care involves knowing the environment in which they are returning to and being able to help them return to their daily activities of care. Nursing. So she came up with 14 components that make up nursing activities. So nurses are to help patients breathe normally, eat and drink adequately, eliminate body waste, move and maintain desirable postures, sleep and rest, select suitable clothes, dress and undress, maintain body temperature within normal range by adjusting clothing and modifying environment, keep the body clean and well groomed, avoid dangers in the environment and avoid injuring others, communicate with others in expressing emotions, needs, fears, or opinions, worship according to one's faith, work in such a way that there is a sense of accomplishment, play or participate in various forms of recreation, learn, discover, or satisfy the curiosity that leads to normal development and health, and use the available health communities. In health, this is the ability for the patient to do the above 14 activities. It is the nurse's job to assist each individual and help each accomplish each of the 14 components. So Henderson's sub-theory. Henderson emphasized the importance of caring for the patient as a whole, but her theory also states that nurses are part of the medical decision-making team and must do so when needed. So this is a clip of her talking about her theory.
Start out, if you will, by giving us your definition of nursing.
But I began thinking, what do I do for people? And I decided that I try, if I go into a room with a sick person, or even if I see my friends, I try to get inside of their skin, put myself in their position. And then as a nurse, I try to do for them what they would do for themselves if they had the strength, the will, and the knowledge that a nurse has. And I try to do it in such a way that I don't make them dependent on me any more than is necessary, so that I can give back that activity, whatever I'm doing. I try to make myself, I don't try to make myself indispensable. I try to make myself dispensable at the earliest possible time. Do for others what they do for themselves. They have the strength, the will, and the knowledge. But to make them independent of help at the earliest possible time. Well, but now that's not all I say, and that's what troubles me about the way people quote my definition. They stop there. And I go on to say, and I say this much more emphatically every time I say it, because I think this is what nurses have got to realize and what the public has got to realize. That the nurse also diagnoses and treats. If she is the person available to that person who needs that help, if there's no doctor available, she invades this holy of holies, the practice of medicine, which I think is foolish for them to think they practice alone. They don't.
And lastly, there's the model of the Henderson's need theory. So she takes the individual needs, the environment, the nursing practice, and the health of the individual and brings that all together to help the patient go home safely with the ability to perform all activities of daily living.
So the usefulness of Virginia's theory can be applied to many areas of nursing. The theory based on human needs can be applied in clinical practice to help nurses make specific care plans for specific patients based on what their actual needs are. Educators can utilize it in teaching students how to use the Maslow's hierarchy of needs to make sure that all patient needs are taken care of in the right order. It can be used in administration, so that way the staffing models could be created to support the nurses so that they have enough time to provide care to all of their patients. It's used in research to see how patient outcomes are based on nursing interventions, like if they were successful or not. And in nursing curriculum, Virginia Henderson helped write Principles and Practice of Nursing, which is one of the major textbooks of nursing in the 20th century. Okay, so for testability, in this 36th volume of the Nursing Science Quarterly Journal, authors Sabinian applied Virginia Henderson's theory in clinical practice. They used her theory to conduct a case study that involved a pediatric patient with an acute kidney injury that was caused by hemolytic uremic syndrome. The authors found that Henderson's theory guided the nursing care plan, nursing assessment, and implementation of interventions throughout the patient's 15-day hospitalization. The theory was specifically applied to set goals for the nurse to support the child's physical needs during recovery as they were undergoing dialysis, and to help the patient regain his expected level of independence for his age at the time of discharge. So for parsimony, Virginia Henderson's 14 statements simply explain the role of the nurse. For example, the first 4 statements of her theory are that the nurse should ensure that patients breathe normally, eat and drink adequately, body wastes are eliminated, and that the patient is moving and maintaining desirable postures. Although this is simply presented, the reasoning behind and achievement of these 4 statements is complex. For example, helping a patient maintain desirable postures means that the nurse is preventing pressure wounds. The nurse must formulate a plan for patient care to include completing every 2-hour turns, and must know how to correctly use the devices that assist in completing this goal, such as the Hoyer lift, gait belt, TAPS air system, etc. So there are many steps to accomplishing just this one statement in Henderson's theory. To discuss a middle range theory that is involved with Henderson's theory, I chose the theory of comfort by Catherine Kolkaba. So there's 3 types of comfort in this. Sorry. So Kolkaba's theory of comfort focuses on helping patients achieve comfort in physical, emotional, and spiritual areas. It is considered a mid-range theory because it is specific enough to be applied directly in clinical practice situations, but still broad enough to guide research and education. So the theory is based on the 3 major concepts of comfort, comfort needs, and nursing interventions. And you can see in this chart on this side of the structure where the comfort is relief, ease, and transcendence. And then the physical comfort needs are physical, psycho-spiritual, environmental, and socio-cultural. And Kolkaba's theory connects to Henderson's work because both focus on meeting fundamental human needs and improving patient well-being. Henderson emphasized helping patients become independent in meeting basic needs, while Kolkaba expands this idea by focusing specifically on comfort as the key patient outcome. In this way, Kolkaba's mid-range theory builds on Henderson's holistic view of nursing care and applies it in a more focused, measurable way. Thank you.
So these are our references. Thanks for listening to our presentation. Recording. How do I get stop? Okay.